Hi everyone, it's Kelly from Kelly's Bead Boutique. So you might notice in some of my videos that I'm wearing this tubed wrap bracelet. It's a 3-wrap bracelet with some really nice little curved tubes in it. I get asked all the time how I made it, so now I'm going to show you how. So come and join me. Okay, so today I'm going to show you how to make my cute little wrap bracelet here. So I have 3 meters, 1.5 millimeter leather cord. I have a little Swarovski bezel holder, and then I have a 12 millimeter Swarovski bezel in this gorgeous new black patina. I also have a button. You can use a regular button with just the holes in it, or you can use a shank button. I have a jump ring to add this on later on, and I have a tube to make my barrel knots. And I'm going to use these little curved tubes. They're 40 millimeters, and they need to have a hole big enough to accommodate my leather. And I'm going to use 18 of them today. 18 is an average size bracelet, somewhere around the 7-inch mark. If you've got a bigger wrist like me, you're going to want to go up perhaps 20 of the tubes. All right, so let's get this started. So I don't need a lot of tools today, just a ruler and a couple little things. So the first thing I'm going to do is measure out about 24 inches. What you're going to do is take your wrist measurement and you're going to multiply it by 3, and then you're going to add about an inch or so. So I want to go about 24 inches on this one, so I'm going to go 12 and 12, and it doesn't have to be exact because we do have a lot of leather. Okay, so what I'm going to do is just sort of try and keep that marked a little bit, and I'm going to put my leather up inside my button and run it back down the other hole there. And I'm going to just sort of adjust it till it comes to that point there. Okay, so now the first thing I'm going to do is make a barrel knot. So I'm always going to want to make my barrel knots with my longest piece. So my longest piece happens to be on the bottom right now, so I'm just going to flip it over. So I'm going to take my little tube. So I have a bigger tube here for making my barrel knots. I'm going to place that between my leather. I'm going to then take the one in the back here, and I'm going to bring it down and towards me. I'm then going to wrap it around towards the back and just kind of grab hold of it. And I'm always working towards my left hand. I'm then going to make another wrap and one more. Now I'm going to hold on to my little wrap so that it doesn't fall apart. I'm going to take that end, and then we're going to put it through the back side of the tube, and you can see that it came out here. So now I'm going to pull all this leather through, and I'm still holding on to that little knot because I don't want it to get, sort of moved around or anything. So now you can see it's not really at where I want it. It's not at the end there. So I'm going to take it and pull it down. And you always want to use the one that you've wrapped with to tighten it, and the other one to sort of pull down. So I'm going to just hold the opposite one, move it down to where I want it. And I want to leave about a 1/2 inch there. You do want to have some flexibility when you're trying to do up buttons. If your knot is jammed right up underneath there, it's going to be really hard to do up your bracelet. Okay, so now we have our first little barrel knot. So now I'm going to take one of our tubes and place the leather through there. And if you have a little bit of a problem getting the leather in there, just cut it on a bit of an angle. Sometimes it needs a little bit of help. And there you go. It goes through much easier when I do that. It's a bit of a tight fit. So you do have to watch your leather. Leather comes in, even though it'll say 1.5 millimeter, it'll still often be a little bit more or maybe a little bit less. Okay, just taking my other tube off of there. I'm just going to make this into a little sharp edge and put my leather through the tube and pull down. Okay, so now I don't want to have these tubes right next to that button because it'll cause a little bit of friction. So I'm going to leave just a small gap there, just a little bit of one. And now I'm going to make another barrel knot. So I want to make sure I've got my long one there. So I'm going to take my tube, I'm going to place it between, pull the one that's away from me around to the back and hold on to it. One more wrap and another wrap. I'm going to find my end and pop it through that tube. Okay, so now I want to move it down with the one that I wasn't working with, which is my short one. So kind of move it down there, and then I'm going to tighten it up with my long one. That nice and snug, and again, I don't want to have it butted right up next to those tubes. I want to leave a little bit of room in between for flexibility. So now I'm just going to repeat this the whole way along. So I will come back and show you when I'm done. Okay, so I'm just about to add my last one. You can see I've got my tubes and my knots all the way along here. So I'm going to do one last barrel knot, place my tube in, bring my leather around to the back, go around 3 times, working towards my left hand. Take the end of that and go through the back end, pull that through, and I'm going to just pull that down and make that nice and tight. Now I need to make a little clasp for my button to go through. So I'm going to just take my button and place it in here and sort of give me a bit of a measurement. And I need my buttonhole to be about that big. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to turn this over because I'm always working with my long one. So I'm going to turn it over. I'm going to place my tube in between, and I'm going to make my final barrel knot. And you can move these up and down a little bit, so I don't worry quite so much when I'm making my clasp part of it, because I know I can move it around a little bit. So I'm going to sort of put it where I want it. And right before I tighten it up, I just take my button and make sure that I can get it in there nicely. You don't want to have a buttonhole that's too large because then it might fall off. So I'm going to pull that nice and snug. All right, so I'm going to come back and put some glue on there, but right now I'm going to take my GS Hypo glue and I'm going to add a little bit of it to the inside of this Rivoli holder. And you don't want to put too much because you don't want it to all come out the sides, but you need to put enough to make your Rivoli crystal holder, or sorry, the Rivoli crystal, you want it to be able to stick in there. Hardest part of the whole thing is getting that little thing back inside there. All right, so now I just kind of take it and drop it right down so that I don't get any glue in there. And I just hold it for a second or two to make sure it's not going to go anywhere. And then let it dry for a second. Okay, so now I take my glue again, and I'm going to come in between these two, and I'm going to put a little bit of glue right in there because this knot is the one that's going to take sort of the most abuse. And then you can flip it around to this side and go right in up there. And this glue dries nice and clear, so you won't see it. Okay, so now I'm just going to trim that off right there and right there. And then I'm going to find the halfway point, which is around here somewhere. I'm going to take my chain nose pliers and put them on one side of my jump ring. I always make sure that my cut is at the top, and I'm going to open that up, slide it through there, and I think I'll put this about here, and it'll fit over both. And if it floats up and down on the tubes, that's fine. It's not going to scratch it at all. And there we have it. So we have our 3-wrap tubed bracelet. This one's still a little wet, so I can't really put it on. But there we go. I wear mine pretty much every day. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure that you like it, comment below. I always try to get back to everybody that leaves a comment, and make sure to subscribe to my channel so that you can see my weekly videos. Thanks so much for watching.